Hey Aries, welcome to Sweet Tea Astrology and Tarot. My name is Erica. Welcome to the channel. I'm so happy that you found me. Thank you for being here. I'm so grateful. Couple of things really quick. I am doing private readings still. If you are interested, the price points are anywhere from $20 to $60, just depending on what it is that you're wanting. Look for the PayPal link in the description below, and I'll also try to have a link to the video about it in the upper information bubble above. So, we've got some things going on in October. Let's go ahead and start talking about it, Aries. First off, at the very beginning of the month, on the 5th of October, or the 6th, depending on where you live on the planet, we've got a full moon in our sign, Aries. Now, Aries rules the head. So, don't lose your head. Don't scream off with their head. Don't be willing to let others get in your head, and watch your head when it comes to around the full moon. Because I have a feeling that with it being in Aries, Aries is playing host to Uranus and Eris. Uranus is the planet of shocks, surprises, rebellion, liberation, and change. And Eris is the little warrior goddess of war and discord. So, things could get heated, is what I'm trying to say. So, forewarned is forearmed. Be careful. Understand that the full moon is occurring in Aries rising's first house. So if you are an Aries rising, it's going to be particularly impactful for you. You will feel stressed out. It may feel shocking. There may be surprises. You may feel like you want to go on the warpath. Forewarned is forearmed. Now, on the 10th of the month, we've got Jupiter, the planet of growth, expansion, excess, achievement, wealth, knowledge, all things that make you want to grow bigger. Jupiter is moving into Scorpio, and this is your 8th house. The 8th house is the house of life, death, and rebirth. It's other people's money. It is the blood and guts of it all. It is sexuality. It is those deep transformational situations that can make a person completely change. It's also a house of regeneration and metamorphosis. Now, on the 14th, we've got Venus, the planet of love, beauty, money, harmony, and resources, moving into Libra, which is your 7th house. The 7th house is the house that is the house of our partnerships and our relationships and how we identify who we are as an individual through those interactions with other people. It's also the house of open enemies and counseling, so be aware of that as well. But you should be having some pretty charming interludes because of Venus moving into that 7th house. Venus always softens wherever she goes. Jupiter makes it bigger, and Venus softens it. On the 17th of the month, or close to it, depending on where you live on the planet, we've got Mercury, the planet of thought, movement, and communication, moving into Scorpio. So, the thought, movement, and communication moving into a very, very, very inquisitive sign. Could be doing a lot of internet research. Could be doing a lot of research, period. Or there just could be a lot of thought and communication about the themes and the areas of sexuality and life, death, and rebirth, and those types of things. For you Aries risings, it is going to be happening. And I happen to know an Aries rising who, I'm not sure if she's listening now or not. Her name is Amanda, and I'll leave it at that. Miss Amanda lost her mother in a very tragic situation. And she's an Aries rising. So all of this stuff is definitely going to be playing out for her in her world. A lot of the 8th house stuff, dealing with life, death, and rebirth, dealing with other people's money, dealing with inheritance, insurance, dealing with sexuality. That 8th house is a very, very, very intimate house. And the 8th house is the house that you won't let just anybody into. You won't let just anybody talk about your finances with you. You won't just let anybody have sex with you. You won't let just anybody probe your mind or your body. I didn't mean for that to sound as bad as it did, but yeah. On the 19th, we have a new moon in Libra, which is in your 7th house. New moons are a great time for planting a seed. in the 7th house. It would be a good time. If, like for Amanda's situation, she lost her mom due to some serious violence. And the 7th house deals with legalities, and it deals with open enemies. So it may be that her court case is going to be starting around that time, or she may have to go do some sort of disposition or deposition. That's what I'm talking about. On the 22nd, we have Mars, the planet of energy, impulse, aggression, and sometimes sexual energy, moving into Libra as well, which is the 7th house. So could be feeling very aggressive about needing to defend those partnerships, relationships that you have. It could be that you feel like you need to defend yourself against open enemies. Or it may be that you decide that you need to aggressively seek counseling, because that's also the house of counseling. Finally, to end out the month, we have on the 28th, the Sun moving into Scorpio. And the Sun moving into Scorpio is highlighting again those 8th house issues of the Scorpionic nature, that of life, death, and rebirth, other people's money, transformation, regeneration, metamorphosis. It is literally where the phoenix rises from the ashes. I've been shuffling your cards, and they're going all over the place. I've had tons of cards just kind of fly out while I was shuffling, talking about the astrology that's going on. And I'm still feeling led to talk to y'all more about the full moon. The full moon at 12 degrees of Aries is going to have Uranus and Eris with it. Watch your head. And what I mean by that is you could hit your head, someone could hit your head, you could have a shock or a surprise that it totally knocks you off your rocker, like I did a few years ago. I've already had my Uranus and Aries surprise. I've already had my shock to my head. And there's more coming. I'm an Aries sun, but I can literally hear the Queen of Hearts and Alice in Wonderland screaming, off with their heads, off with their heads. Just be careful, be mindful, understand that you're going to be feeling very tested. We've got a major planetary movement that's occurring for us on the 10th of the month. And that is Jupiter moving into Scorpio. I'm going to do a separate video on how that can apply for each of us. But for now, just understand that wherever and however the energy is, when Jupiter enters that house, it will expand and amplify it. Jupiter is about to move into my first house, and that's why I decided to go to the doctor and try to get seen about for my PTSD, because I knew that it would only get bigger for me if I didn't. So, shuffling the cards. Let me cut for you. The bottom card always represents the underlying theme or overarching energy in my spreads. The top 3 are for clarity. If you need a time frame reference, you can go past, present, future. I'm also going to pull for you from the Sage Goddess Gemstone Oracle deck. And Sage Goddess, Athena Perkins, I follow her on Facebook. And she actually does Oracle Card Fridays, where for 30 minutes on Friday, if you ask her to, under the thread that she puts up, she'll pull a card for you. And the last time I did that, blue kyanite fell, and that is the stone for neurological healing, which was very resonant. What are the messages from these oracle cards that my beautiful Aries friends can use for this October 2017? I'm going to shuffle this. Okay, you had a card fly out. What I'm going to do is pull this card, and I'm also going to cut the deck and pull the top card. Okay, Aries, what I'm going to do now is hit the pause button. I'm going to flip these cards over and do the tarot math. I'm going to look at my astrology notes and do my best to bring the most empowering information forth for you that I can. So hang tight, y'all. I'll be right back. All right, Aries, I'm back with your cards, so let's go ahead and get started. The first card, which is the underlying theme or overarching energy for this spread, is the Sun went first. The Sun is a major arcana card, and the Sun is the ruler of the zodiac sign of Leo, and we just had a solar eclipse in Leo, conjunct, playing well with, Uranus, which is in Aries, your sign. The Sun normally represents self-expression, success, and fulfillment, but the fact that it's in reverse could be that you are feeling lacking in those areas. Could also be that you're just feeling exhausted. There's something else that's interesting of this card that I wanted to point out. This is the 19th card of the Major Arcana. 1 plus 9 is 10, and that speaks to the 10th house on the astrological wheel. That house is the house of your career, status, reputation. You're dealing with authorities and authority figures, and you have Pluto transiting through that 10th house. Pluto is a planet of deep change, deep transformation, and deep renewal. It's the kind of change that I'm talking about that occurs on a daily basis, but no one notices without a meta perspective or a before and after image, if you will. Could feel like the sun has gone down, or it could feel like, for some of you Aries, it could be feeling like it's literally turned into the dark night of the soul, the way that this spread has played out. And if that's the case, I'm sorry. The first card in the top three for clarity that fell for you is another Major Arcana card. It is the Empress card. This is the third card of the Major Arcana, so I feel like it could be involving a Gemini, because Gemini is the third sign of the zodiac. But it could also involve a Taurus or a Libra, because the Empress represents Venus, and Venus is the ruler of Taurus and Libra. So, that's a little bit convoluted, but let me try it again. The number 3 at the top of the card makes me think of Gemini, and the glyph of Venus makes me think of Taurus or Libra. The Empress is also in reverse. The Empress normally deals with love and values. It's a maternal figure. Can be very productive and abundant. But the fact that it's in reverse, it could be that there has been a loss of someone who's been a maternal figure in your world, or a loss of a female that's important to you. The sun is setting on something that you valued at one time, as well as something else that seems to be the theme that these two first cards are telling us. You don't have any energy in your third house per se, Aries rising, but that doesn't mean in your own personal chart that isn't the case. We did have Venus go retrograde earlier this year during the spring. Venus went retrograde between Aries and Pisces, and you may want to go back and check and see what that was about as well. It could be speaking to the Venus retrograde and how it has impacted your world today. The third card in the top, the third card that I drew for you, the second in the top three for clarity, is the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups represents the water sign energy, and that is Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. I am a Scorpio rising. This queen represents influence. She's also supposed to be calm and focused, intuitive, and compassion. I see this positioning as being very focused on the past, or focused on what is in this urn, this cup. What cannot be seen, she sees. She sees past it. She sees past the veil. But I do see her focus is positioned towards the past. The way she's looking at the Empress situation. The way that her focus is towards what's going on in the past. So don't get stuck there, Aries. It's okay to go back and do the work that needs to happen to help you heal. But don't remain stuck there. It's very easy to get stuck there. Don't get stuck in your head there. The Queen of Cups is also very prone to escapism. And what I mean by that is that she can be so highly anxious that, or intuitive, getting messages that she doesn't know where they're coming from, that sort of thing, to where she would rather have a drink or do something else that would quiet her mind. That's not a judgment. That's just the way that it is. And that's how a lot of the intuitive individuals are. They just can't shut their brains down. The final card that I pulled for you in the top 3 for clarity is the Ten of Swords. I do not like this card ending, so I will be pulling another card for you. But this Ten of Swords, the 10 speaks to completion. Again, the 10th house where Pluto is transiting. Pluto is a planet that can represent death. Pluto is that deep transformational change. And if you don't make the change, it will make the change in you. And sometimes it won't give you the opportunity to make the change anymore. Swords representing air sign energy, that is Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius as well. This card, again, in the reverse, it's supposed to deal with completion and defeat, loss, and crisis. But for me, it feels like you feel almost gutted or probed, or like, I almost hear it in my head like, again, what else? What else could go wrong? You know what I mean? Like, everything, the shit has hit the fans and it keeps continuing to hit the fans, is what this card kind of looks like. The one hopeful piece of information that I have whenever I see this card, and it's not one of my favorites, is that it is always darkest before dawn, and that is something that this card does definitely embody. It is darkest before dawn. The one thing about it being in reverse that I also like is the fact that these swords do have the opportunity to fall away if you allow them. Just don't keep a tight grip on them. Don't keep a tight grip on the mental facilities or the mental faculties that are wanting to make you possibly focus on the past, possibly focus on the loss, focus on the defeat, if you will, that some Aries may be feeling. And understand as well that the doors that close for a reason, no matter how hard they hurt, no matter how hard they slam. But wherever there's a door that closes, I firmly believe that there's a window that opens. If it's not a window, it's an attic. If it's not an attic, it's a doorway or a floorboard. There is an escape for you in one way or another. And I want to find out more about what this Ten of Swords means. Please show me what these Ten of Swords... Okay. Ten of Swords issues. Ten of Swords issues. Like half the deck fell again. Could feel like you're really just trying to keep things together. Like stuff is just flying out of your hands. You could feel completely discombobulated, Aries. And the house placements, again, are for Aries rising. It's the easiest for me to do as opposed to trying to give an Aries sun. Any Aries sun could have their sun in any one of the 12 houses. That's why I do Aries rising. For instance, I'm an Aries sun, and my sun is in the 5th house. But if I based it on just my readings, or on my chart, then it wouldn't be very valid for you. And that's one of the reasons why the sun sign astrology horoscopes that you read in the newspapers or the magazines or even online for sun signs is not always the most accurate. There's more than just the sun in the solar system, and there were planets in all over the zodiac when you were born, and that helps to give a snapshot as to who you are. But back to this Ten of Swords. Why are we seeing this Ten of Swords for my Aries? The Ten of Swords, why is it here? One more, and then I'm going to cut. The Ten of Swords is there because the Queen of Wands has shown up. The Queen of Wands is also a very influential individual, but you have to understand that with each modality, they have a different perspective. This Queen of Wands could also represent a Leo in your world. It doesn't have to be, but we do have the Sun right here as well, and the Queen of Wands does represent fire sign energies. Could definitely be representative of some of you Aries out there as well. She is known for being very exuberant and vibrant. And the way that it fell sideways like this. It fell sideways like this, much like the 10 So I feel like some of those swords that are in your back have been put there by people that you weren't expecting or noticing or paying attention to. And I think now is a time for you to be able to reevaluate and reflect, especially with what it looks like, what has gone on here. It's emotional. It's scary. It's sad. It looks like you've gone through some tiring, exhausting things. It looks like there's been some loss. And it looks like there's been some intense focus as well on certain details that may end up leading you down a primrose path. This Queen of Wands is an eager queen. She's eager to stand and eager to defend. And I would like to see you embody her energy for the new moon on the 7th. Or for the new moon on the 19th in your 7th house, where you have to defend yourself. She's willing to stand. She's eager to stand. She's willing to fight. She's eager to do whatever. Once upon a time, she was called a promiscuous queen as well, because she was the only queen that had her knees apart, but I don't like the way that that sounds. I'm a little bit more progressive thinking, I guess, in the fact that I feel like she would be eager to fight or do any other F word she wanted to do. Also, look at her posture. She is looking towards the future. Her face is looking towards the future. So it's not an issue of giving up. It's an issue of finding out where you need to stop expending your energy to where you don't feel so exhausted or so defeated. Now, for the card that flew out of the Sage Goddess Gemstone Oracle deck, you receive the Epidote card. It deals with manifestation, grounding, abundance, and magnification. It helps to heal the heart and root chakra vibrations. Epidote is a grounding and protective stone that activates and manifests more of what you already have. It is also known as the wish-granting stone because of its power to draw prosperity and abundance in many forms. You've pulled this card because there is a specific wish in your heart, and you need to magnify what surrounds you. Meditate with Epidote to ground you, to make your wish a reality, and to align with your higher truths. The second card that I pulled for you is the Shungite card, which deals with cleansing, purification, and transformation. It can help heal and amplify the vibration of the root chakra. Shungite is a grounding stone known as the Great Purifier. It removes energies and impurities from people, places, and spaces while healing the lower chakras. You've pulled this card because you need to release any negativity residing within your auric body. Meditate with Shungite to free yourself from harmful emotions and to filter energies around you and to feel deeper alignment. That's what I've got for you, Aries, and I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you already have, I thank you from the bottom of my very grateful heart. Again, remember, we're starting off October with a bang, with a full moon in your sign, and you will feel it. Breathe, baby, breathe. You have control over how you act. Remember that. It's taken me 37 years to learn that lesson. I do hope that you're well, Aries. I do hope that you are taking care of yourself. Please be kind to yourself, and again, take care of yourself. Save some of that kindness for others, because we're all going through private battles in our world that some of us may never speak about to another living soul. I'm sending you a lot of love. And until November's readings, take care, namaste, and bye, y'all.